Over the course of 4 years since I beat my first Extreme Demon, I've managed to beat 50 in total. As I've played more and more, I've developed a lot of opinions regarding how good or bad some of them are, so in this video, I'm going to be ranking them all. You've undoubtedly seen videos like this before, but just in case you haven't, let me explain the criteria that each level is ranked by. For starters, each level is given a score from 0 to 10 for 3 different categories: gameplay, decoration, and song. These are based on my opinion alone, so take these with a grain of salt. The gameplay category will account for 60% of the level's overall score, because playability is the #1 thing to keep in mind when making a good level. In addition to this, decoration will account for 30%, and the song will account for 10%. In the event of a tie, I will break it based completely on personal experience. I will also be awarding one score of 11 for each category. For example, the level with my favorite song will receive an 11 out of 10 for the song category, and that will be accounted for in the final score. Along with this video will include many small concessions. For example, I've included 7 unrated Extreme Demons that I believe are rate-worthy and deserve a spot on these rankings. On top of this, I've also decided to include one insane demon I've beaten that I truly believe is an Extreme Demon. Finally, I plan on making update videos at the end of every year that consists of all the new levels I've beaten since the previous video. If you want to see the one that I'll be doing at the end of this year, consider subscribing so you don't miss out on it. With all those small disclaimers out of the way, let's get started with number 50. HyperSonic used to be one of the most popular levels to go for as a first Extreme Demon. The gameplay is well-rounded and very accessible for people still trying to grow their skill. That doesn't mean it's good though. The level is riddled with bugs and choke points, as well as gameplay that just doesn't work half the time, like Xenthic Alpha's Duel around 45%. As a mobile player at the time, I fell prey to all of these over and over again. The whole level feels like a jumbled mess of different styles that don't fit well together at all. To be honest, the only redeeming quality of this level is the song. Coldbreaks never fails to make a banger, and this is his most popular track for a reason. Other than that, I'm glad this level has been mostly phased out of the popular beginner Extreme Demons, because it's just not a good way to introduce the hardest difficulty of the game at all. Despite what these rankings suggest, Black Blizzard is easily my least favorite level in the game. I hate that I feel this way, because nobody can deny how beautiful the level it is, and how incredible the song is as well. Kryo has been my favorite artist for years now, but not even his music can raise this level up from the bottom by more than one spot. I can say with 100% confidence that I've never felt more hopeless or miserable playing Geometry Dash than when I played this level, especially when I'd spend multiple sessions without passing the first cube once. The whole thing is inconsistent as hell, and I have no doubt that if this part were copied into a list demon, it would fit right in with the rest of the gameplay as far as difficulty goes. In fact, the difficulty is so unbalanced in this level that it's almost funny. The first cube carries about 90% of the level's difficulty, and the second cube carries another 9%. From there, the entire drop to 100 is barely harder than AKU, with the exception of a few clicks like the 48% pink orbs. This makes for an awful experience, where you're stuck dying to the same 5 clicks in the first cube over and over again, and feeling like you're wasting your life away. I could spend an hour ranting about this level, but I'll get to the point. Don't play this level for your own sake. I mean, as cool as it is, it's just not worth it. Misty Mountains is yet another beginner extreme, and yet another one that I initially went for on mobile. Despite the incredibly fun drop, which starts around 40% and has no real issues, the pre-drop is too boring to ignore. I mean, the first 7 seconds of the level is completely auto, and then you click once per 2 seconds for pretty much the entire rest of the beginning. It becomes such a mind-numbing experience that it's hard to focus, which had me playing worse and struggling a whole lot more than I should have, even though this was only my 4th Extreme Demon. The level has helped out a lot in the song department. Beacon by Foxtails is such an incredibly atmospheric banger that immerses you in the level perfectly, and the gameplay in the drop is so incredibly fun and satisfying to pull off, especially when you get to the duel around 70%. Because of that, it really pains me to say that the level is pulled down so much by the pre-drop, and also by the decoration, which is simply too basic and boring to stand out in any way. The level is just alright, and certainly nothing to write home about. I beat this level very recently as a request made by my friend Chispy for his birthday. Considering that it uses another Kryo song, it pains me to say that it wasn't a great experience. This level is far too choke point heavy for my liking. Pretty much every wave and ship felt like RNG, and one of my biggest pet peeves in a Geometry Dash level is rapid speed changes. The whole level just felt like a jumbled mess. The decoration, while cohesive throughout the level, hasn't aged very well in my opinion, and other than that, there's really not much to say in that department. I didn't expect to enjoy the level going into the experience, so at least I can say I got exactly what I expected. Ah yes, Crystal by Zeronium. This was Zeronium's first Extreme Demon, and it definitely shows. The level's honestly similar to Prismatic Haze in many ways, especially considering the many wave and ship choke points that feel like RNG. It also doesn't help that the most impossible ship in history is right at the end of the level. As a whole, the level is nothing more than the generic Glowflow style level that dominated mid to early 2.1, and there's really nothing more to say about it. It's a decent level that's unfortunately weighed down by all of its choke points. Deflective used to be my hardest back in 2023, which is funny because I'm not sure a lot of people have heard of it. It's another level that is totally carried by the song. Slow Down by Creo is such a vibe, but sadly it's not nearly enough to keep from noticing how lacking the decoration is and how badly designed a lot of the wave gameplay is. My two biggest gripes with the level come at the two consistency waves, which are slightly offset in multiple places, making them very inconsistent, and the 70% wave, which is by far the worst part. These structures move outward ever so slightly after you've already clicked into the gap, so the entire part becomes a massive choke point. Because it's the last part in the drop, the whole thing is just so frustrating, and I think I died here over 30 times while trying to beat this. At the end of the day, this is another Glowflow level that could have been so much better, but is brought down by its wave choke points. According to the list, this is my hardest at the time of making this video. In my opinion, this is my second hardest, and it's also not very good. As is the case with a lot of these early levels, the song carries Call Me Maybe so hard. The decoration is just average with nothing that really stands out, and the gameplay is another choke point carried hellscape. The first corridor is an absolute drag to play over and over again, 11% is the most stupid and inconsistent part ever, and the entire UFO prior to the drop is so painfully setup based that every click feels like RNG. It doesn't help that the drop has multiple insane choke points, particularly at the 48% wave and ship duel and the 53% robot microclick. As if all of this wasn't enough, you still have to survive one of the hardest swingcopter parts known to man, and then survive the hardest part of the level by far, the final ship. To be completely honest, this level is such a banger, and it's incredibly fun to play even with the choke points, but those choke points weigh down the gameplay way too much in many instances and can make the level feel very inconsistent very fast. As much as I like this level, I sadly can't put it very high. Despite the reaction I had when I beat this level, I honestly don't think it's that bad. Maybe that's because I cannot for the life of me remember how I actually beat it. I am so bad at ship that the whole thing feels like a fever dream that never actually happened. In terms of the level, it's actually a lot of fun. As per the norm now with these rankings, the song carries Bloodbath to the moon and back, but unlike the other levels I've discussed so far, the gameplay isn't actually that bad. There aren't really any choke points other than Michigan, but to be honest, I didn't struggle with that part too much. For me, it really boils down to the repetitiveness of it all. There is so much straight fly that the level becomes a real bore to play after a while. And I didn't feel particularly special either, since everybody and their mother has beaten this level. Because of that, I really don't have much to say. It's not that the level is bad by any means, it got a 6.6 out of 10. It's just that it's boring and uninteresting at this point and can't really get much higher than average. Definitely not the worst level on this list, but it's nowhere near the best. My friend Maddox told me to beat this level because I've been beating a lot of medium length levels recently, and I'm gonna be so honest bro, please never cook again. This level is the epitome of stupid choke points. The last wave in particular was the cause of 10 deaths from 88 to 90%, and I can't forget the ridiculous 73% ship gap that I somehow only died to twice. Despite this, the rest of the gameplay is incredibly fun, and it got to the point where I was practically making it to the last wave just to die every single attempt. Moving away from the gameplay, the decoration isn't bad, but it isn't anything to write home about either, since it's really just a polished off Deadlocked style. The song is also just decent, being a bit too harsh for my liking, but nothing bad by any means. Trust me, there will definitely be worse. A solid level all around, I just wish the waves weren't as stupid as they are. This level is interesting to say the least. While it's only 0.3 points higher on this list than Crystal, it is a far cry more enjoyable in my opinion. As somebody who is thoroughly timings carried as far as skill sets go, Budding Roses is not a good fit for me, and yet it turned out to be an incredibly fun time. To be honest, I can probably attribute quite a lot of that to the fun I had in VC with my friends. If you haven't already seen the Budding Roses highlights video, I'd highly recommend checking it out if you want a good laugh. I don't think I would have enjoyed the level nearly as much if I had been playing it alone. There are a lot of choke points like the 40% ship and the wave in the late 40s, as well as some later ones like the 76% mini ship and that entire ending, which I somehow fluked entirely. The decoration is just alright, and you can tell it's a bit on the older side, but it doesn't pull down the level too much. As for the song, it's also just alright. It doesn't fit my personal preferences, so it isn't as high as some other songs I've discussed, but it also doesn't hurt the rankings too much. Altogether, this level was surprisingly good, and I would honestly recommend it for people who excel at skill-based gameplay. As another level that used to be my hardest a few years back, Dolos is certainly something special. As a matter of fact, this level is the first one to have a 10 in any category, and I'm awarding it to the song. Deception by Space is so absurdly good that it somehow carries the level above Budding Roses. Without it, I can promise it would be lower. The decoration is alright, and is certainly a nicer looking version of the Glowflow style that I've already talked about. The main talking point here, though, is the gameplay. The pre-drop is so insanely slow and boring, and takes up 40% of the level. There's also so many choke points here, like the entire first ship, which is miles harder than anything else in the level, and a few random orb timings here and there. The drop is actually quite fun, with the exception of a few really bad parts. The 49% wave spam is a massive issue, especially the transition from upside down wave into the right side up mini wave directly in the middle, and the 61% robot click just doesn't work sometimes. It also didn't help that I died not 1, not 2, but 3 times to the last double spike, which is buffed way more than you think and is such a stupid way to end the level. I want more than anything to say I like this level because it's such a cool one, but the choke points were too bad to ignore and sadly brings the level down quite a bit. As the first level on this list that's currently unrated, Hypnotic Tide is essentially in the exact same boat as Dolos is. I also gave this level a 10 in the song category, and it was honestly in the running to receive the 11 for that particular part. Despite Ripples to Waves by Creo being an absolutely goated track, the level falls short with its gameplay. You can clearly tell it's Snackless's first full level because this level is absolutely riddled with awful choke points and parts that just don't work half the time. The worst offender is easily the cube in the 40s, with slope jumps that feel genuinely unplayable most of the time. There are also a lot of other bad parts, like the 5 yellow orbs in the first part of the drop right before the ship begins. It's clear that they're supposed to sync just like the other clicks do, but they don't at all, and they also play differently on every attempt. I would also be lying if I didn't say that the random boss fight at the end is a bit annoying, and the fact that it comes after the most stupid hard wave with the worst gravity switches I've ever played through doesn't help it in the slightest. As far as the decoration goes, it's actually pretty good. The sea creatures are especially good looking, and the flashy bits during the drop look very nice. The level is brought down in that category by the beginning and the ending, where the rock decorations are not only lacking, but also reused a lot. Despite this, I like the level a lot, and it should be rated, but it definitely could have used a bit more playtesting. And just like that, we have our second unrated level. Arcturus noclip 3 is another suggestion given to me by my friend, and this time it was quite a bit better. There are still a lot of flaws that this level has though. For one, the decoration is completely unchanging for the entire 40-second runtime. Even the orbs are the exact same, meaning you have to learn which one is which without being able to see them. This was a bit annoying, but the level was ultimately easy enough that it wasn't too big a deal. Because of this, the gameplay is actually pretty fun at times and incredibly satisfying to play. Since it uses the same song and gameplay style as Unknown, it almost feels like you're actually playing it at times. It's a really cool effect that had me actually really enjoying the level. Altogether, this level is incredibly underrated, and I wish more people knew about it for sure. It's right on the border of rate-worthy, but come on, RobTop has rated crazier things, so let's show this level some love. I beat this level for the finale of the Geometry Dash Demon Ladder's 12 Demons of Christmas, which I hosted this past year. I really enjoyed playing it, and it honestly deserves to be a lot higher on these rankings, but this is sadly one of the few instances where a level is held back by its song. While I can't deny that the song fits the level very well, the beginning of it is so annoying to listen to, and when you're stuck at the first ship for a while, it grows stale very fast. As far as the decoration goes, the level's atmosphere is incredible, and perfectly captures the feeling that the later parts of the song give off. The gameplay also manages to do this, and is honestly very fun once you make it to the drop. This level is the easiest one I've ever played that has utilized double clicks, which is the primary gimmick in the first half of the drop. It's a really cool way to introduce them on an easier scale, and it made the level stand out a lot. It's just a shame that the beginning is just such a drag, and because it's the hardest part, it really hurts the level's chances of getting a higher score in that category. Altogether, despite the beginning, I would 100% recommend this to anybody, and I wish the song hadn't brought the score down because it would have ranked a lot higher otherwise. Fun fact, I've technically beaten this level twice. The initial version was high-end Insane Demon, which I beat around the same time as Deflective. Eventually, it was buffed a bit to be an easy extreme, and I decided to rebeat it so I could say that I had truly beaten the level in its current form. The level itself is really cool, with very immersive decoration and a great song that fits the vibe perfectly and really sells it as a Thanatophobia sequel. Unfortunately, it falls short in the gameplay category once again. The worst offender is the final wave at 88%, which is by far the hardest part. The beginning of the level is also very repetitive, and because the drop starts around 45% and the level is extra long in length, it becomes incredibly boring to play through. It doesn't help that the first part of the drop is one of the more difficult parts either, and it sucks to make it through the long beginning just to die a few seconds into the very tricky ship gaps. As a whole, the level is great, but it sadly falls short in just a few places. Well, this is where things begin to get interesting. Isn't it ironic that MISFIRE finishes with a rating of 6.9 out of 10? And no, your eyes do not deceive you. This level received a 0 in the song category, and anybody who's familiar with this level knows exactly why that is. Honestly, I think if I gave it anything higher than a 0, I'd be getting some interesting comments from people, to say the least. It's a real shame because without the song, the level is actually incredible. The gameplay is so much fun, particularly the first part of the drop. This part feels so insanely clean and fun to pull off. Despite this, there are a few parts to look out for. For starters, Bulgy Wulgy. If you know, you know. The 69% wave, because of course it's the 69% wave, is a frustrating choke point for being so far into the level. And then of course there's the 7 inches wave, which is a consistency wave that, similar to Deflective, is slightly offset, making it very inconsistent. Other than those 3 parts, this level is so much fun to play. The decoration is also pretty good, and considering that the level is a collaboration between many people, it actually goes together quite well. It's a shame that it's all brought down so much by the song. Otherwise, this could have been a whole lot higher up. Rust is by far the most challenging level I've ever beaten, and despite it being 2 spots below Call Me Maybe on the all-rated Extreme Demons list, I firmly believe that this is my hardest Extreme Demon. Rust is such an amazing level. The decoration is absolutely gorgeous and portrays the factory theme perfectly. As well, the song is way too good and fits the level way too well. I'm convinced that this level would not have worked had it not been built to Outlaw by Creo. Despite all of these pluses, the level falls down quite a bit in the gameplay category. It's unfortunately just too choke point heavy for me to rate it any higher. 4% and 13% ensure that you barely make it past the pre-drop, even though it only accounts for the first 18% of the level. And even once you do, you're thrown into the drop with some of the most difficult clicks I've ever attempted, particularly at the 26% green orb and dash orb, at 28%, and throughout the entire wave from 37 to 42%. Then there's the double click of Doom and Despair at 52%, which is the one that you hear everybody complain about, and all of that leads you to the post-drop, which somehow manages to take up 30% of the level, all while having some of the most difficult clicks in the whole thing. These include the 76% timing, the dash orbs of death and destruction at 82%, and also the 90% dash orb. It certainly didn't help that I died at the final click of the level as well as 95%. As good as this level is, there are just too many choke points to ignore, and that keeps the level down much lower than it could be on these rankings. Regardless of this, I would still highly recommend this as a hardest, or even as just another completion if you're good enough. It's popular for a reason. It's very fun, even despite all of its flaws, and all the other parts get very consistent and fun. This level's just plain cool. Despite the decoration being very basic and pretty boring all things considered, the gameplay is actually very fun, and the song is just about as good as a non-GD song can get. Sweater Weather by The Neighborhood is such a vibe, and surprisingly fits this level perfectly. The gameplay was a lot of fun to play, despite me not usually enjoying slow and skill-based gameplay. I'm sure this was because the level is very easy for an extreme, and I beat it very recently as a break from my rushed grind, but I still believe it's a very good level. There are a few negatives, like the 21% green orbs that felt a bit like RNG, and the ship and wave towards the middle of the level that felt much harder than anything else. But altogether, Sweater Weather is a great time, and I'd recommend it any day of the week as an easy extreme. Remember when I said that there would be one insane demon on this list? Well, here it is. Say what you want, but nobody will ever be able to convince me that Thanatophobia isn't an extreme demon. especially when I have it sitting above Sweater Weather and 5 other extreme demons on my demon list. I hate that we as a community decide that entry-level extreme demons are insane demons nowadays. It's resulted in so many unrightful demotions in my opinion, so I'm looking to do right by these levels with this ranking. Thanatophobia was my first extreme demon, and it still holds up in my opinion. The decoration and song paired together gives off an atmosphere that not many levels have, and even though the decoration hasn't aged the greatest over time, many parts still look very nice. It's also a much more creative spin on the typical Glowflow style, which I really appreciate. The gameplay is also incredibly satisfying, with only a few problem parts. Every Thanatophobia victor will know what I mean when I mention that one red orb in the pre-drop, and the 56% click is also frustratingly inconsistent. The first ship also has the same effect as the ball corridor at the beginning of Call Me Maybe, though it's much easier. Despite this, everything else is just about as fun as a level can get, and is so satisfying to pull off. Especially the first part of the drop, where the atmosphere and the song seem to burst as you're launched into some very fun ship gameplay. Overall, I'd recommend this to anybody. This is probably the most important level in my GD career, which I discussed in my video about becoming a true PC player, and I'm glad that I decided to grant it a spot on this list. RASH is certainly an interesting level. I'm honestly surprised to see it this high up, considering just how decoration carried it actually is. The song, Dark Heart by S.P.A.S, is a far cry from Dolos' song, which was also made by S.P.A.S, and is honestly not very enjoyable to listen to. Despite this, I'd be lying if I said it didn't fit the level perfectly. The gameplay also isn't the reason this level shines. Despite the drop only starting a few seconds into the level, it's still very easy to get stuck at the pre-drop because of how inconsistent and plain stupid the orbs at 9% are. The beginning of the second drop is also absurdly difficult compared to the rest of the level, having some of the tightest ship gaps I've ever seen in a mid-ranged extreme demon, and forcing you to do an awkward click pattern because of the orbs that Lulz had placed for you to dodge. It's the decoration that really makes this level shine. The gross style fits well with the song and provides one of the most unique atmospheres in any level I've ever played. The entire thing has you feeling like you're traveling through an infected body, and the ending of the level even has flies buzzing around to sell the effect. Lulz had undoubtedly outdid himself with the decoration, and because of this, RASH is boosted up a whole lot higher than it probably should have been. I can't stress enough how much I love this level. As the third and hardest level in Dreamtide's Dream series, Cryptic Dream is by far the best from a visual standpoint in my opinion. Not only is the decoration improved on while staying true to the raw and chaotic style from the rest of the series, the level also uses camera effects in multiple places to add to the tension and enhance different parts. I especially love the screen rotation and raw power behind the ship at 63%, which is a segment that has appeared in all 3 levels but feels so much more powerful in this one than in the others. The decoration is enhanced even more by the song. The second half of Idolized by Creo is arguably one of the best parts in any song he's made, and the way that Dreamtide utilized it was absolutely insane. It felt especially powerful at 72%, where the ship hold syncs perfectly with the highest note in the melody and makes you feel like an absolute legend. Despite this, there are also many instances where the camera controls are used in bad ways, particularly during transitions. Speaking of transitions, the gameplay is the only thing keeping this level down. For starters, the pre-drop takes up 40% of the level and consists of a few very bad choke points that leave you stuck there for a while before making it to the drop. On top of this, the transitions are absolutely awful. This is an issue that has plagued the other levels in the series, as you'll see later, but it's taken to a whole new level here. That's mostly because of the way the screen rotates during the wave transitions, making them feel unfair, hard to read, and just plain bad. The clicks that follow are typically blind timings as well, the worst of which is at 85%. I mean, come on, how did he let this slide by? To have such an awful click so late in the level is detrimental for sure, and I'm lucky I only died there twice out of the 7 times I got there, because it absolutely should have been more. This level isn't all bad though. The duels in particular were incredibly fun to play, especially the second one. I also got lucky enough to fluke the last 3 clicks, which are all insanely hard, and I'm sure if they had been an issue I would have had a much worse time with this. Altogether, I wish this level was better, but at least there's comfort in knowing that the other 2 levels in this series place much higher up. This level holds a very special place in my heart. As my first verification, I tried my best to make Aura the best possible level it could be. I was actually the verifier of the second update to the level, which is the current version on the servers, and it definitely plays a lot better than it used to. Despite this, I find that there are some core flaws in the level, primarily because of the way that the UFO gameplay works in the drop. Many clicks are very setup based, and because of that, there's no real way to make them play too much better without nerfing the level to the ground. Despite this, The rest of the level plays incredibly well, especially in the pre-drop and the second half of the drop, where the UFO is phased out a bit in favor of more bursts of ship and wave gameplay. It's also worth noting that the decoration is absolutely incredible. The atmosphere that this level gives off is wild, with tasteful uses of sound effects in the pre-drop and an amazing black hole background during the drop that fits the intensity put out by the song perfectly. On top of that, Aura by Creo fits the level way too well, and earns it an easy 10 in the song category. Altogether, Aura by Duck is an absolutely astonishing level, and I can easily say that Duck outdid himself for sure. As somebody who doesn't typically enjoy XL levels, I am very glad I beat Spectrum Cyclone. I beat this as a second hardest in the second half of 2025, and it took me around a month of playing daily in order to beat it. Even then, I still managed to fluke the level from 85%, avoiding any deaths to the last 2 cube parts while my nerves skyrocketed to what I can only assume was an all-time high. I just wish I had a method of tracking my heart rate at the time, because I have no doubt it was the highest one I've ever reached. This level is so good. The song is a certified banger, and the decoration, while clearly aged, still holds up fairly well in a few spots and captures the feeling of the mid 2.1 era perfectly. This level also excels in the gameplay department. As hard as it is, the level feels fair in most areas. The 60% spider in particular is some of the best gameplay I've ever played in my 7 years of playing this game seriously, and the 50% duel is also insanely fun. The level unfortunately falls short at 20% and in the 40s ship, specifically at 41 and 47%, both of which just feel too inconsistent in RNG to be fun. Because I only made it here 5 to 10 times per session, it also became insanely frustrating, which was enough to bring it down from initially being my favorite level all the way to number 28 on these rankings. Regardless, this is still a level that everyone should beat if they're good enough, because it is way too fun for its own good so long as you can look past the few choke points. I'm honestly surprised to see Agile up here, considering how frustrated I got while playing it, but now that I look at it, it's honestly perfectly valid. The decoration is truly amazing for being so simple, and it blows me away that this is still unrated, especially considering how popular Zeronium is with the community and how good all of his levels have been recently. To be honest, the only reason this level is as low as it is due to the wave gameplay. I've never been a huge fan of the wave game mode, and I'm well aware that it's my biggest weakness as a player. The only reason I beat Agile was so that I could say that I'd beaten every Zeronium Extreme Demon, rated or unrated. Despite the good decoration, it gets in the way of the drop gameplay far too much for my liking, and made it a lot less fun than it could have been. Regardless, the level was very satisfying to pull off, and I figured it out eventually after more deaths in the 90s than I'd like to admit. On top of this, even though the pre-drop takes up more than half of the level, it still remains fresh and enjoyable throughout the whole experience. The slow ship that builds up to the drop is very satisfying to pull off, and the beginning is also very fun to do. I hope this level gets rated soon because it absolutely deserves it and was very fun to play even through my frustrations. Sakureta is a level I never thought I'd beat, not because it's difficult as it's actually very easy, but because it's just not my vibe. Those who know me are well aware that I don't like Reta levels in the slightest. Despite this, when I was asked to playtest this by my friend Chispy, I eagerly accepted. The level itself is insanely fun, and to be honest, my only gripe with the gameplay was the 53% click that I died to 8 times, which was honestly more my fault than the levels. The ending was also easy enough that I fluked from 60%, which was my biggest one to date. The decoration is stunning, and flows very well together for a collaboration, and the atmosphere that it gives off is just phenomenal. The biggest downside to this level for me was the song, and while I'm sure many will disagree with me, it's just not my cup of tea. The remix that I used to beat it was a little bit better, but in the end I decided to rank the level based off of the true song. It's just a shame that this level is still unrated, and I hope that changes in the future because from what I've heard and played, this is by far the best beginner Reta extreme in the game and deserves a whole lot more attention. As my 5th extreme demon, Precipitance was one of my favorite levels for a long time. This is the epitome of what it means to make a perfect beginner extreme. No game mode is more heavily concentrated on than the others, and everything is balanced just about as well as it can be. You don't have to be good at a particular skill set in order to beat Precipitance, and it acts as a perfect gateway to the extreme demon difficulty in my opinion. The gameplay is so much fun and feels so satisfying to play through. It's synced very nicely, and there really aren't many bad things to say about it other than a few slightly annoying clicks in the first mini-cube. The decoration falls back to the basic glow flow style, which holds the level back a bit, but it's not a negative by any means. The song also holds the level back a bit because of its repetitiveness, and without the level taking on the brunt of people's focus, I have a feeling it would be much more annoying. Even still, I think it fits nicely with the level and makes for a very good and fun easy extreme. Hot Rod is just a good all-around level. With scores of 8 across the board, there's really no negative aspects that hold it back. The gameplay is very fun, with only a few parts that become frustrating. My biggest issues came with the very beginning, around 5%, and the beginning of the drop, which felt awkward and killed me a lot. Other than that, ST cubing did not disappoint. The decoration is very solid and gives off a happy, simple feeling that not many other levels have accomplished without growing boring to look at. On top of that, the song is one of my favorite non-GD songs, and feels way too perfect when paired with the gameplay and decoration. I'm not sure how ST cubing managed to fit cognition gameplay, ACU decoration, and an indie rock song together and make it work, but I'm not complaining. When I realized it was time to beat my 50th Extreme Demon, I knew I had to do something special. Fog is a level I've wanted to beat for a little over a year now, and it didn't disappoint. I've always found the randomized memory part at the end to be super interesting, and despite the learning curve surrounding it, it made for a very climactic completion. The rest of the level is insanely fun as well, with the part from 51% to 71% standing out to me the most. This part, despite having a small choke point at the 58 to 59% ship, is ridiculously fun and satisfying to pull off. I also really enjoyed the pre-drop, even with its slow nature. Unfortunately, one of the biggest things that took away from the level for me was the first part of the drop, which includes my two least favorite parts of the level. The dash orb at 22% completely ruined the entire first ship by making it a massively inconsistent choke point, and the wave from 34 to 39% never got easier for me either. It made every attempt past the wave unnecessarily stressful, and made a lot of deaths in the 40s that were justified feel extra annoying because of how rarely I made it there. I'm 100% certain I only struggled with this because of how awful I am at wave gameplay, but it still hurt my experience a bit regardless. The decoration, on the other hand, was essentially flawless. It perfectly captures the theme that this level aims to execute: fog. Everything is immersive, and the way that the level progresses with the calm beginning to the stormy ending makes it such a journey to play through. The song also enhances this idea, and while it's pretty basic and uninteresting by itself, it fits so well with the gameplay and decoration that it deserves mentioning. It's altogether just an incredible level that deserves a whole lot more attention than it gets, and should be a level everybody who's good enough should consider trying. Say hello to eye pain. In all seriousness, as flashy and bright as this level is, it's also astounding to look at. Eridani captured the neon cityscape feeling in perfect fashion, and the song only enhances that feeling. I mean, with a song literally called Neon Thrills, how could it not? Speaking of the song, Luckhash completely outdid himself when making this banger. As far as the gameplay goes, it's just another bullseye. The pre-drop is as short as they come, letting you get right into the action quickly, and the drop is so incredibly satisfying to play through. The only reason I took 2 points away from the gameplay was because of the second half, particularly the ship that begins at 60% and the wave that runs from there until the end of the level at 80%. The ship is by no means bad in any way, but it's a massive difficulty spike and is some of the hardest raw ship gameplay I've ever played. On the rare occasion that you pass this part, you've got to play through what I find to be one of the worst wave parts I've ever had to play. The click pattern is nowhere near satisfying and is stupidly unorthodox, and as if that wasn't enough, it's also one of the hardest parts of the level, and takes up the last 8% before the level is finished, making it all the more frustrating when you die there. I hate that the level had to end this way, because otherwise it would have been the first to score a 10 that isn't awarded to a song on this list, and it would have likely landed a top 5 spot because of it. Regardless, if you're at least decent at wave and good enough to beat it, I'd recommend this level for sure. Endless Dream is interesting to say the least. I beat this back when my hardest was MISFIRE as a second hardest, and to be honest, I still second guess myself on whether or not this was my hardest back then. At the end of the day though, Endless Dream is such a good level. The decoration is the same raw, chaotic style from Cryptic Dream that only Dreamtide can pull off, and it feels so true to Geometry Dash. I feel like I can pick out every different object, but it still somehow manages to fit together and remain cohesive and impressive looking. The song also adds to the effect, and was also in the running to receive the 11 in its respective category. Endless by Creo feels less like a song in this instance and more like an anthem that breathes life into every movement of every block and structure. The gameplay is also immaculate, with a great progression that builds slowly until the climax at the duel that happens late in the level. The primary reason for it losing a few parts comes with the transitions, which often felt sudden and unfair, and a few small parts like the 52% ship and the dash orb at 89%. Other than that, this level is an absolute masterpiece and was such a joy to beat. I'm not sure I have much to say about this level, seeing as everybody and their mother has played it, but I'll talk about it a bit anyway. AKU is such an incredible level, and is one of the most popular first extreme demons to beat for a reason. It's accessible, well-rounded, fun as hell, and just a total vibe all around, both decoration and song-wise. Epilogue by Creo is an easy 10 out of 10 banger, and the decoration looks really clean and interesting for being so simple. The gameplay is also incredibly fun. I can't stress enough how enjoyable all of the drop gameplay is, and my only real gripe with the level is a few annoying timings, like the 30% wave and that one green orb at the end of the level that feels impossible. To be honest, there's a reason AKU is one of the most played extreme demons. It's just plain well made, and is well deserving of a spot this high on the list. And here we have it. Fated Dream is the first level to receive an 11 out of 10 in one of the categories, and that award goes to its song. I can't stress enough how much I love Wavelight by Creo, which somehow manages to carry enough intensity to keep you intrigued while still being a relatively chill track. It's probably one of my favorite songs of all time, and I'm certain that Fated Dream is boosted up more than a few spots because of this ranking, despite it only accounting for 10% of the total score. The decoration itself is also really good, and stays on par with its predecessor, Endless Dream. Fated Dream feels like the perfect sequel to Endless Dream, and even acts as a nice lead-in to Cryptic Dream. It keeps the same color scheme as its predecessor for the pre-drop before launching you into a white drop that's almost devoid of any other color, and then transitioning back to the dark. It really shows the progression that these levels aim to emulate, with the color inside the dream fading just like the name suggests. As far as the gameplay is concerned, this level fixes a lot of issues that were prevalent in Endless Dream, especially the transitions and the 52% ship, which actually appears in this level again at 50%, but is much less of a choke point. Despite this, it also has its occasional problems. I found the first half of the duel to be very awkward, and the last ship is also a massive choke point. Even though I got lucky enough to fluke it, I still think it was worth mentioning. Overall, a fantastic level, though I don't think it's harder than Endless Dream despite what everybody says. Considering this level's subpar reputation, you may be surprised to find it this high up, but to be honest, I loved ABSURDIA so much. I've heard from others who have played it that it's incredibly buggy, but I never ran into any bugs during my experience, so I'm not too sure what they could be talking about. While I agree that the decoration is very flashy and intense, it's also very good looking and fits with the song masterfully. Speaking of the song, when I learned that this song was made by the same guy who made the song for Frozen Cave, I was shocked. Sysmix has such a wide range of genres that he can create music in, and it's so cool to listen to. Yukai Woods is no exception. This song is an absolute banger. The gameplay is definitely the least interesting part about this level, but that's not to say it was bad. I'm not sure about now, but when I played ABSURDIA, I found the gameplay flowed very nicely and played super well. It's certainly a shame that others found it buggy, and if that's the truth, I probably wouldn't recommend this to anybody, but since this is based on my own opinion, I think it deserves a spot this high up. SHURIMA is the perfect example of how Atmosphere can make a level. The growth that ST Cubing has shown from Hot Rod to SHURIMA is absolutely insane. Literally everything is in its place for a reason. I especially like the book falling animation during this ship section, because it makes you feel like you're a part of your surrounding environment. The entire experience has you feeling like you're in some sort of perfect afterlife where nothing is wrong except the god-awful transitions in literally every part. Those transitions are the reason this level loses a few points in the gameplay category. As insane as the decoration is, it's clearly prioritized over visibility, leading to abrupt transitions in a stupid number of instances. It sucks because without those, the level would be an easy 10 out of 10 gameplay-wise. The first spider is very satisfying, as are the flying sections during the cave segment, and the entire sequence in the clouds in the 50s and 60s is very fun to play through. The song speaks to the level as well, fitting the calm style of the decoration perfectly and even building up nicely for the ending sequence. As frustrating as it is that the transitions are bad, once you learn them, the level becomes nothing short of perfect and is absolutely deserving of more attention. I certainly have some history with this level. As a jump from MISFIRE that took me 9 months from the first session to the last, this level has basically defined me for a while. Despite the insane struggle I faced while playing it, which caused me to basically quit the game for multiple months, I still love this level, and I can't deny how good it is. There's a reason so many people do this as a hardest, and I can see that very clearly. For starters, the song is an absolute banger. Sismic's cooked hard again, and it makes perfect sense to see 2 of his songs finding their way into the top 20. The decoration is also immaculate. The level immerses you in exactly what it advertises, a frozen cave that you need to do all you can to escape from, including outrunning a literal avalanche. Despite being a mega collab, the Paradox team managed to keep everything cohesive and make it flow together with a sort of precision that not many mega collabs are capable of pulling off. There are so many little details as well, like the Russian flag during the first part of the drop, and the things frozen in the ice during the first part. As far as the gameplay goes, it's also very good, with only a few parts that bring the score down. The primary one is the first UFO, where you click once and fall for 2 to 3 seconds before clicking again. There's no doubt that this is a very unique and creative style of gameplay, but it sadly doesn't translate very well in a level of this difficulty. Oftentimes you have to wait 2 seconds just to die and wonder why you didn't survive, and because of the lack of reset points, sometimes something like the first click can end up killing you a full 7 to 8 seconds later at the very end of the UFO. It genuinely felt like playing a gambling simulator, but at least it wasn't all too far into the level. Despite this, it was bad enough for me to dock 2 points from the gameplay score and keep Frozen Cave below the top 15. Still an incredible level, and a great thing to do as a hardest in my opinion. This level is essentially the definition of underrated. As the first 10 given to a level's decoration, Wild Rose may be one of the best levels atmosphere-wise on this entire list, which you wouldn't guess when you realize it's made by the same person who made MISFIRE. Despite this, Wild Rose hits on every level as far as decoration goes. It takes a very solid song and runs with it, turning it from just another track to the anthem behind the flowers that this level is themed around. I mean, how do I even describe it? The whole level is just vibes. I especially like the way that the part directly before the drop goes grayscale, completely devoid of color before the drop hits and the level bursts with rainbow energy in an instant. The flower petals that make up every block design immerse you, and it makes you feel like you're floating with the music, and the vibes only grow from there as the wave is introduced with the electric guitar around the 70% mark. The spiral background and tight gaps paired with the growing intensity of the music keeps your heart pounding, just for the level to end with a final grayscale cube part that ends so quickly it leaves you wanting more. As far as the gameplay goes, it's also very fun. The first cube is a bit slow and boring, and there are some very debatable transitions, especially in the first part of the drop in between the bursts of wave and ship, and in the beginning and ending of the final ship. Despite this, the rest of the gameplay is way too satisfying for its own good. Even the wave was insanely fun, which I usually wouldn't say since it's so difficult and so far into the level. The whole level is just vibes, and it's a perfect level to kick off the top 15. Fun Friday is exactly what it sounds like. It's a fun time. I beat this while it was unrated, and I'm very glad it finally got the recognition it deserves from RobTop. The song is a fun time, and the decoration is really cool as well. I love how it's reminiscent of a ton of jokes or trends from Zeronium's streams and videos. As someone who watches a lot of his stuff, it was really cool to see. I also love the creativity behind the coin, where you have to answer a random Blookit question about Zeronium or his channel, which just pushes the theme even further. Even though both the song and decoration are good, it's the gameplay that carries this level. This level is so fun! I especially love the wave at 40%, which makes this the second pleasant surprise in a row as far as levels with wave parts that I actually enjoy. The final cube and robot were also incredibly satisfying to play, and despite being fairly tricky, I managed to only die there once. Altogether, this level is just so phenomenal, and I'm glad it's finally rated. When I first laid eyes on this level, I was already astounded by its decoration. Upon finding out that it was a build swap, I was even more blown away. Overtime's visuals are something special. They feel different, yet flow together perfectly in a way that has the player feeling lively the entire way through. Each part has its unique color combos and stylistic choices, but somehow Claros was able to make it all come together into one total vibe of a level. Speaking of vibes, the song plays perfectly into this idea. Overtime by Cash Cash is also a compilation of different songs that were sampled together to create a certified banger. So the song's energy and origins really emphasize those of the level's decoration. The gameplay is also incredibly fun, though it's the weakest of the 3 categories. There are a few select parts like the ship in the early 70s and a few transitions here and there that felt very unfair and inconsistent, But other than that, the gameplay is masterfully crafted and incredibly fun to play, and those things can easily be overlooked. I would highly recommend trying this level out, especially if you enjoy flow gameplay. I beat this level 2 months after Deflective as another new hardest, right after stating inside the completion video that Deflective would be my final hardest of 2023. As poorly as this level made that video age, this is still one of my personal favorite levels of all time. Blade of Justice was the proof for me that I was capable of doing anything I put my mind to, including beating a new hardest in just 2 months right before the end of the year. It was such an incredible experience, and the level as a whole is so much fun. The song, which is Betrayal of Fear by Gukasin, is an absolute banger that gets stuck in your head so easily, and I enjoyed it so much that I ended up making a remix of it for my completion and playing a really hard version of it on the piano. It has a lot more going for it compositionally than Guitar vs. Piano, which was another song by Gukasin that was used in Precipitance. As far as the decoration goes, it's also really impressive in my opinion, especially considering that it was made almost 10 years ago now. Some parts have aged better than others for sure, but nobody can deny how unique the level is in terms of decoration and theming. The idea of basing your level around a sword makes you feel so awesome when you beat the level, and some of the text in the level like "Are you worthy?" and "Pierce through all matter" only adds to that effect. Even with all those amazing things, the best part of the level is still the gameplay. Every single part of the level is so much fun and feels so satisfying to pull off. The 40% cube, 50% duel, and the 70% swing copter were all so much fun, and somehow the history behind the level made them feel even cooler to do. To be honest, the only thing about the gameplay that I didn't love was the final ship, but I got lucky enough to fluke it, so it was luckily never a problem for me. I'm glad that this is one of the more popular mid-ranged Extreme Demons because it absolutely deserves it. There's a reason this level is the first one to get a score of 10 in 2 different categories. Diamond Disco is by far the best level Zeronium has made, and most of that stems from the vibes it gives off. For starters, the decoration is surprisingly phenomenal for a level made by a known Extreme Demon grinder. Zeronium has proved time and time again that he's so much more than that, but this level is the real proof. The energy that the whole thing carries is incredible, and I especially appreciate the tasteful use of shaders like the invert color trigger during the second half of the drop. The whole level is just so cool. The song helps push this feeling home as well. How by Exile and Paper Skies has got to be one of my favorite songs, and was another song that narrowly missed out on a song score of 11. It's also so cool to me that Zeronium managed to capture the very essence of it in the decoration. As far as gameplay goes, it's certainly the weakest aspect of the level in my opinion. It requires a pretty high amount of clicks per second in order to sync with the song, but some of the parts still don't feel like they sync correctly, which creates a bit of a problem. There were also some parts that simply felt like gambling, like the first part of the drop and the beginning of the duel, both of which happened to be wave parts. It also didn't help that I died once to each of the last 3 clicks, but I can look past that. The gameplay also included some very fun parts, like the drop cube, and the other drop cube, and the post-drop cube. I guess I like cube gameplay. The UFO right before the post-drop is also insanely fun to pull off, and the same can honestly be said for the ship right around 50% that leads into the duel. Regardless, Diamond Disco is such an amazing level, but is unfortunately held back from the top 10 because of a few choke points. I'd still recommend playing this though, especially if you enjoy high CPS gameplay. Kicking off the top 10, we have Martin by Solax, and this is the first level with a gameplay score of 10 for a reason. I'm not quite sure how this level is unrated considering how insanely fun it is to play. I mean sure, the decoration is a bit basic and feels like AKU if it lost a bit of saturation and detail, but it's still a very solid take on modern decoration. The decoration obviously isn't the thing that carries the level. That award, as I previously said, goes to the gameplay. There is literally not a single thing wrong with Martin on a gameplay level. While a few clicks are a bit dodgy and seemed like choke points at first, the fact that I beat it in just a few days with no struggles whatsoever proves otherwise. The click patterns and style of gameplay is a bit unorthodox, but once you get the hang of it, the whole thing becomes so much fun. The level is medium length, being around 45 seconds long, and it's actually quite difficult, but there is no denying that every click and every part feels beyond satisfying to pull off and flows surprisingly well. It also plays really well with the song, which is a non-GD track that fits way too well with both the gameplay and the decoration, and is just a vibe all around. I can't stress enough about how good this level actually is, and I really hope it's put on RobTop's radar so we can see it get the rate it deserves. As my second verification, the Void by Halo Zombies is easily my favorite of the two. It also happens to have the same song as Faded Dream, so I decided to grant it a song score of 11 as well. Moving away from that, this level is so freaking cool. I was planning to play it regardless since one of my good friends was the solo creator, but upon making a few complaints, Halo No. 2 gave me permission to verify an update that fixed some of the choke points and made the level play 10 times better. This only boosted the overall score even more, and now it finds a spot in the top 10 because of it. The drop is incredibly fun to play, especially once you reach the second half. I also got extremely lucky and managed to fluke the level from 69%, meaning I fluked the entire post drop. This was my biggest fluke at the time and is still my second largest today. I had issues with a few clicks which were primarily in the first half of the drop, but I was able to fix a lot of them so they weren't really a problem in the end. The main frustration I had was with the first ship, which took a long time to get consistent, and the click pattern used in the first wave, which got consistent eventually but was pretty annoying for a good while. Other than that, the level is essentially perfection in my eyes. The decoration is also really impressive considering that Halo Zombies still doesn't have a single creator point, which is a total crime by the way. This level is not only undoubtedly worthy of a rate, but is also deserving of one thanks to its uniqueness, creativity, and personal flair. And no, I'm not just saying that because I verified it. The decoration feels genuine and you can tell that there was a ton of passion put into the level. I also love how the colors change from part to part without making everything feel disjointed. Even the post-drop, which is drastically different stylistically, feels like the natural progression and is the perfect ending. I can't stress enough how much I love this level, and I hope this can convince some people to go play it and get this on RobTop's radar. I'm not sure I've ever heard of somebody not liking Lost Love by the Black Hell. This is arguably the best entry-level memory extreme, and it gets that title for a reason. As the second level to get a gameplay score of 10, I can promise that there's not a single thing wrong with it. The level is split into thirds, with the first third being a robot section that has a few fake platforms that are easy to navigate because of the trail of orbs. It's this that makes me really appreciate the level. It's almost like it tries to introduce more complex methods of memory as the level continues, and the first third is fairly simple because of every orb being real and necessary to progress through the part. The second part is a fast-paced ball that introduces the occasional fake orb along with the fake blocks. Even with these, it's still fairly easy to learn and understand because there's still a pretty clear path, as well as many visual cues. It's also the hardest part by far as raw gameplay goes, making it a fun challenge that doesn't feel unfair. It's the third part that really pushes the difficulty as far as memorization goes. The level turns into an orb maze, with rows and columns of different orbs that stretch off-screen in all four directions, and paired with fake platforms, this becomes the most challenging part to remember. Despite this, it's not terribly hard and is actually surprisingly fun. The whole level is just so spectacular as far as progression goes, and this is pushed even further with the growing intensity of the song. As another song by Luckhash, the author of the AKIRA song, this track is such a vibe. I especially loved the inclusion of lyrics and the way that they spoke to the theming of the level. The whole thing is just incredible overall and helps secure Lost Love with a well-deserved position in the top 10. I'm honestly a bit surprised to see this level so high up. Regardless, Worst Trip is such a cool level, and I'm glad it's here. This is by far the better of the two Lultad levels on this list, and there's really no grounds for comparison. RASH has a lot of issues that Worst Trip just simply manages to avoid. Every bit of gameplay in the drop is ridiculously fun, and this especially goes for everything from the duel to the ending. To be honest, the only two things that grew frustrating were the few clicks at 6% that never really felt consistent, and the teleportal transition from the ship to the ball in the pre-drop, which was absolutely demolished by the way that the camera works in 2.2. I've been told that the level is very choke point carried, but because of how quickly I beat it, I never really ran into any issues and can't speak on the truth of that statement. Because of this, other than the two things I mentioned, the level is essentially perfection as far as gameplay goes in my opinion, and the decoration backs this up as well. The decoration feels wild and all over the place, which perfectly accompanies the gameplay and the song as well. I especially like the rainbow flower decoration in the duel and the raw insanity of the first half of the drop with all the moving objects. These aspects of the level also speak to the song. Ballistic Funk by Creo manages to capture exactly what this level is, a funky ride through some of Lultad's best work. It certainly helps that the song is just plain good, making Worst Trip easily one of the best trips I've ever been on as far as Geometry Dash levels go, and absolutely worthy of a top 10 spot. I don't think a lot of people understand just how good Retention Rush actually is. As another memory level by the Black Hell, it's obvious that they know exactly what they're doing when it comes to memory extreme demons. The moment I started playing Retention Rush, I could tell it was going to be one of my favorite levels, and I'm glad that I was proven right on that matter. I beat this level for December Marie because I was too lazy to beat it in May, and I'm glad I finally got around to learning and playing it. The gameplay is insanely fun and creative, especially in the drop where the mini wave and the ball part in the 60s are easily my favorite parts. Even still, there's something about every single part in the level that is insanely satisfying to play, and there's no doubt in my mind that this level deserves a 10 in the gameplay category. Ironically, I actually had to beat the level a second time because my initial recording didn't capture any audio the first time. I managed to do so in just 20 minutes after the initial completion, and it didn't bring down my enjoyment in the slightest, which just goes to show how much I really loved this level. To be honest, it's really only held back a little bit by its other aspects. The decoration is certainly better than Lost Love in my opinion, but it's still fairly basic in a lot of parts. I can let it slide for the most part though, mostly because of the intensity that it helps to bring to an already intense level with a very harsh song. The song is the worst aspect of the level in my opinion. It's a lot harsher than my preferences, but it's not bad by any means. Because it fits so well with the level, it doesn't bring it down all that much, and I firmly believe that it doesn't take away from anything. Altogether, it sucks that it held Retention Rush back from the top 5, but things happen, and this level is still one that everybody who's good enough should absolutely try. It's also worth noting that I believe this is highly overrated difficulty-wise, primarily because it's a memory level with much easier gameplay than surrounding levels have, so even if you don't think you're ready for it, give it a try, you may surprise yourself. Kicking off the top 5, we have none other than Adelucid by Oregon. It's hard to say anything bad about this level because of just how much I adore it, but there are some things that are worth getting out of the way before I start glazing it. The only thing that I didn't really like about the gameplay was the ship hold and release right before the first duel in the pre-drop, which I never managed to get consistent at. Because of its proximity in the level being directly after making it through the most impossible robot known to man while still being very early in the level, it killed a lot of potential runs and it did it pretty often. I'm convinced that this was a result of my ship's skill issue, but it's worth mentioning regardless. Other than this, every bit of gameplay is just about as close to perfection as it's possible to get. Every duel was fun and consistent, despite being absolutely impossible to learn. On top of this, the level is consistently building intensity from the moment you make it to the first duel all the way up to the final 3 clicks. It certainly helps that I almost fluked this level from a whopping 65% where I died 4 times prior to passing it and making it all the way to 79 before I forgot the click pattern and died. After this, I only died once more to 76 before beating the level and managed to still fluke a large portion of very difficult gameplay at the ending. The whole thing is just so much fun to play, and I can't stress it enough. On the topic of decoration, this level was insanely close to receiving the 11 for that category. Oregon constantly makes gorgeous levels, and this is no exception. It's honestly a crime that this is only Epic rated. The warm color combinations make for a very unique atmosphere, and the visuals themselves are just stunning. I especially love the dual swing that begins in the late 60s. The visuals in both the background and block designs are absolutely astounding here, and go perfectly with the saxophones that come into the song as this part begins. Speaking of the music, Oregon produces his own music for his levels as well, only adding to Adelucid's uniqueness and personality. Those saxophones that I mentioned are easily my favorite part of the song, and the way that he mixes them with his harsh dubstep style is absolutely incredible. I think the drop is the weakest part, but it's by no means bad. Altogether, every aspect of Adelucid comes together to create an absolute masterpiece, making this the perfect way to start off the top 5. Those who know me know just how much I adore this level. It's because of this that deciding which level deserved a decoration score of 11 wasn't a challenge in the slightest. Cloud Citadel by Bow and Kairos is by far the most visually astounding level I've ever played, even with 4 of the top 5s in these rankings all receiving decoration scores of 10. The level tells a story and looks perfect in every way while doing so. I mean, literally, right now I'm actively trying to pick out a part that I like more than the rest, but I just can't. The song being Sky Fortress by Waterflame is also way too perfect. The entire time you play, or even when you watch a showcase, you feel like you're floating in the clouds and discovering this flying citadel as you go. There are so many little details, like some of the orbs being balloons that pop when you hit them, flying pirate ships in the background, and even a cube with a gardener's hat and watering the grass right before the 75% wave. The whole thing is beyond immersive, and I can't stress enough just how much I love looking at this level. As far as gameplay goes, it's only really brought down by one part. The transition into the part at the 70s is very abrupt and feels very unfair, and I swear the following wave part from 75 to 76 is harder than some of the hardest wave gaps I've ever had to do. It's really annoying simply because of how late into the level it is, but it's not particularly hard to get lucky while doing it, especially if you're a good enough player. Other than this, the only really annoying part came at the transition into the cave in the first ship, but that got consistent after a while and was never really an issue afterwards. Overall, I'm not sure if it's Bo and Kairos' reputations that keeps this level from being rated, but I think it deserves it regardless, and I hope it gets the attention it deserves in the future. When I said Reagan constantly makes gorgeous levels, I wasn't kidding. While I believe Adelucid's decoration is a small bit better than the decoration in Stasis, they're both still 10s without a doubt. This level's decoration is even more impressive when you realize that the level was entirely made with player colors only, meaning that each completion is unique to the player. My favorite part is easily the bridge between the pre-drop and the drop, where a spiraling effect envelops your cube in shadow and looks absolutely insane. The whole level just looks wild. Even though the decoration is incredible, the highlight of this level is its gameplay. While the beginning is fairly uninteresting, it remains fun the whole time. It's once you reach the drop that this level's colors truly show. The whole drop is a duel, and as you can see on screen, the two players are constantly being desynced in different directions. This is by far the most creative gameplay I've ever played, and probably the most creative gameplay that I will ever play. It's one thing to make a duel desynced, which already makes for a unique experience in and of itself, but when you constantly swap back and forth, it's taken to a whole new level. I love how the level does this while still managing to represent the music perfectly with each switch. Speaking of the music, this song was also produced by Reagan himself, and is another incredible track that fits the level perfectly. Unfortunately, the drop once again lacks slightly in the same way that the Adelucid drop did, so I can't give it the full 10, but Stasis still finishes with a 9.9 overall score and is almost as good as you can possibly get in a level. If you like timings and learning gameplay, this level is perfect for you, but even if you don't, it's worth checking out. There truly aren't many levels more unique than this one. Out of all the levels on this list, this one is the single level most deserving of a perfect score. Coming in at number 2, the Cellar Path by Jam Attack is the definition of perfection in every aspect. I literally cannot think of a single bad thing in the whole level. The gameplay is utter perfection. It syncs very nicely with the music and gets more or less intense at the perfect times. It also flows better than any other level I've ever played, with every click feeling fair and enjoyable. My favorite part is easily that segment from 53% to 64%, which flows more perfectly than any other piece of gameplay I've ever played in any other level. I can't stress enough just how fun this level is. As far as the decoration, this takes telling a story to a whole other level. If you've watched Jam Attack's build videos on this level, you'll understand exactly what I'm talking about, but if not, it's pretty easy to infer. This level begins in a cellar, and as the player, you continue to find new things within, from an electrical tunnel that leads into a workshop that leads into an underground city that leads into a church and a cave full of gems. It just keeps going on and on as you make discoveries and the level builds in intensity, culminating in a final duel that, while extremely challenging, is also extremely fun. You can literally feel yourself taking a journey with every attempt. The song also adds to this feeling. Field of Memories by Waterflame makes it feel like every new place you discover is an ancient memory you once had. I mean, this stuff has levels. The whole thing is genuinely perfect in every way. No gripes with the decoration, not a single less than perfect part of the song, and certainly not a single choke point or bad click that ruins the level. Nothing negative to say. But if the Cellar Path is only number 2 on my list, what could possibly be number 1? This is gonna piss a whole lot of people off, but it has to be done. No Jokes is the single most enjoyable level I've ever played, and of all 50 Extreme Demons I've beaten, this is my personal favorite. While the Cellar Path may have been the most deserving of a perfect score, and while it may have received one, No Jokes received something even better. An 11 out of 10 in gameplay, which carries it above a perfect score despite the other categories not quite reaching a 10 out of 10. If you know anything about No Jokes, you know that there isn't a single person on this planet besides me who enjoyed the gameplay in the slightest. I can't really explain my attraction to the level or what made me like it so much, but I just did. The second half fits my skill set more perfectly than any other level I've ever played, and the first half, while being the most difficult raw gameplay I've ever touched, was still somehow doable for me, to the point where I made it to 50% or more around 10 times a day on average while playing from zero. It also took me around 12,000 attempts to beat, despite being a new artist at the time. Somehow, around 10.5 thousand of those attempts were practicing, and it only took me 3 days of playing from zero and 1.5 thousand attempts to actually finish it off. It's worth noting that this is probably the most choke point heavy level I've ever played, having what I counted to be around 20 massive choke points within the level's 40-second time span, but this honestly may have helped it more than it hurt it. If anything, it felt like constant difficulty because of the sheer amount of consecutive choke points, and it ended up playing 100 times better than I ever could have imagined. It also helped that I fluked from 73, which was my largest fluke at the time. I even made it past the infamous 92% green orb, which is one of the hardest clicks in the second half. On the topic of decoration, the first half lacks a bit, but it captures the atmosphere that the level aims to give off. It also serves as a bit of trickery, making new viewers think that the level will be a basic glow level with absolutely no interesting features. The song plays into this too, which is why I gave it such a high rating. I actually really like the first half of the song, and I appreciate how it sells the effect. In the second half, the decoration style picks up a lot and looks a whole lot better. Paired with the goofy song, this entire part is a total vibe. Somehow both the decoration and gameplay style manage to capture the essence of the song perfectly, and the whole thing makes for such a fun time. I don't know how else to describe this level, it's just a good time all around, or at least it was for me. I'm aware that the level isn't perfect, and I'm aware that it might be a little cheap to put it up here, but this was genuinely the most fun I've ever had playing Geometry Dash, and at the end of the day, that's what's important. Plus, this is all based on my opinion, since I found the level to fit my skill set perfectly and contain the most fun gameplay I've ever played in my 7 years of playing this game consistently. I think it deserves an 11 out of 10 gameplay score more than anything on this list, and I can think of no other level more fitting to take the #1 spot thanks to a single technicality than this one. And with that, No Jokes takes the #1 spot on the rankings of all 50 extreme demons that I've beaten up to this point. This video was a ton of fun to make. Being able to go back and relive all of these levels was such a cool experience, and I can't imagine I would have done so without the idea to make this video. I'm super glad I took the time to do this, and I hope you guys all enjoyed watching. Feel free to like and subscribe and leave a comment telling me whether you agree or disagree with any of these rankings, or if you discovered a level I talked about that you want to beat. As always, thank you everybody for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.